Phil Ranta.
I'm Brian Foster, VP of Sales at Stealth TLNT.
And I'm Katarina, the head of talent.
She's got a broken washing machine, so that's when she goes off mute. You know, in this crazy post-COVID world, we're all trying to figure out what work from home even means anymore. So generally when I'm on phone calls and I'm working from home, I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old literally screaming into the microphone. So
I'm about to go turn that off. It's the drum, something broke within the drum when I was driving it down here, so it just
But there's proof that you're doing your laundry, so that's good.
But it works,
sure.
yeah.
If
Okay,
it
I just had
works.
my sibling turn it off, so there will be no more of that.
No worries. No, it's so funny whenever I start hearing about autonomous cars and robot servants working inside of your house. I'm like, but we can't get washing machines to work yet. And I'm still like, I've got 12 flashing on my coffee machine even when the power doesn't go out. And am I going to trust an autonomous robot and an autonomous car to not have those problems?
What was the name of the
Speaking of
Jetsons autonomous robot? That's
Rosie.
Rosie,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you guys hear the big news about the autonomous, so Zeus and Waymo, they're taking over Atlanta, and I don't trust the drivers here in general, so the autonomous cars will not be seeing me anytime soon. They've gotten a lot of accidents out here, but I guess that they're actually being operated by people in the Philippines that are basically like navigating blindly through cities for us, which I just found out today.
Mario Kart, overseas,
Yeah.
controlling Waymo.
No, turtle shells,
Yeah.
banana peels.
So I thought that was really interesting given, we're obviously partially in the tech space. I thought that that'd be really interesting. I don't know if you guys have read the articles, but would love for you guys to have any thoughts on it.
I actually read that about some home robots that they're being operated by offshore people, which creeped me out because the idea of a robot being in your home is a little weird. The idea of somebody being able to see through its eyes and operate it is super weird to me. So, But no, funny Waymo story. There was a huge traffic jam one day, and it made me a half hour late to something or other, and I was so frustrated. Got to the front. It was right on Fairfax and San Vicente. And a Waymo was in the middle of the intersection facing the median and clearly just got stuck and didn't know what to do next. It was just sitting and everyone was honking and trying to get around it, but it had clearly been there for a long time. And I'm like, I don't think we're ready yet.
Right? It was like a small child didn't know where to go,
When I tell people that story, they say, well, is somebody inside? And I didn't check. But if I was inside of it, I would be mortified to think that I was stuck there for an hour in the middle of a busy intersection during rush hour. But
if there's anyone that's in Atlanta, they know the infamous Northside Drive, which is where the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is located on. It's a connection for 3 spots of the city. The city's actually broken up into 4 grids because 4 owners owned Atlanta at one point, and they couldn't all agree to just put it as a grid as a whole, so they separated it. Our civic engineers are struggling to try and connect the city and make it more efficient that way. But I pass by Waymos all the time because there's one intersection and then 100 feet down there's another light that will stay red while that light is green, and the Waymos can't calculate whether it should go or stay.
Oh no! Yikes!
Like the AI machines when they get us, we're just gonna have to confuse them with traffic lights and.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're learning how to fight the robots in real time. I always appreciate that. This week was crazy for the creator economy too. One of the things there's starting to be a lot of Super Bowl announcements coming out. We all know about the Jimmy Salesforce thing, which I still think it was planned, where Salesforce came out and said, Jimmy came out and said, hey, I've got a great idea for a Super Bowl commercial. And then the CEO of Salesforce happened to chime in with hey, we'll get you going. Yeah, let's do it, right? So that felt a little staged. But now Whatnot has announced counter-programming to the very same Super Bowl that will have that commercial, where Mr. Beast's going to do $1 million giveaway. Whatnot is a shoppable live platform. Very cool. I'm a retro video game nerd, so I've bought a lot of whatnot. But multi-billion-dollar valuation. You go on there, and there's not a ton of people watching each stream, but there are a ton of buyers, and that's the secret. But love to hear thoughts on shoppable video, the Mr. Beast of it all. Is Mr. Beast getting overly saturated? Is he putting his name on too much crap? No.
I see him at Target everywhere I go, so I'd say yes, but I'm at Target a lot with my son, and the Beast stuff, the Beast Wars or the Beast Labs, sorry, all that stuff is pretty prevalent across Target still. I think it's a little bit oversaturated, but he's doing it. He's doing what he should be doing.
I would say incredibly oversaturated. I would like to see more of him turn into like Prime, where you don't really know that that's owned by KSI and Logan Paul. I think that that's a great, like, essentially they came out with their drink, they announced it, they pushed it for like a year, and you know that it's owned by them if you watch their podcasts and stuff. But in stores, the brand to me doesn't connect directly with the influencer, where like I can't go anywhere without seeing Mr. Beast's face like somewhere.
Yeah, or like Happy Dad and Nelk, I think, did it really elegantly, where they wore the Happy Dad hats. They made it a brand, but when you go to the store, it just feels like another drink, right? And they did a really good job with big box stores. So even people who might not agree with Nelk or their politics or that kind of side of it might drink Happy Dad because it's just another brand that just got out there. But yeah, I agree.
This event's going to be the biggest whatnot, probably sales shoppable event ever, right? Considering the gifts that they're giving away, considering what's actually at stake here.
Yeah, and it leads back to an Amazon argument that I've had many times with many people, which is a hypothetical, so who cares? But would Beast Games have worked without Mr. Beast if it was just the world's craziest competition show with the world's largest giveaway and literally Mr. Beast wasn't involved? How well would that show have done? And I still think that being in the top banner of Amazon and with the same marketing push and with the crazy stunts, I still think it would have done reasonably well. And likewise, if Whatnot was not Mr. Beast giving away $1 million, but just, hey, we're doing Lamborghini giveaways and everything, jet skis and all of that, would it do well? Yeah. I think Mr. Beast does add kind of like his flavor of like, this is going to be big, big, big is great. But on the other hand, is Mr. Beast, I mean, no shade on Mr. Beast or any other digital brands these days. But last time I was at Ross Dress for Less, I looked in the bargain bin on the way to the checkout lane, and there was Beast Labs, there was Skibbity Toilet Toys, there was a lot of digital creator stuff, like clearance on clearance on clearance on clearance. And I think that there's something to be said about hitting a point where that's bad for your brand to see it in the bargain bin, you know?
Yeah, it just starts to looking like clearance trash. I don't need to call clearance trash. I shop in the clearance bin a lot at clothes places and go to clearance stores. But no, I think that's right. I think it's just a horrible look. But you just make too much stuff though, right? And it's going to end up, not everyone's going to be interested in every single one of your SKUs. So, some of that stuff is going to end up in that bin or on those shelves at massively discounted prices.
There's also
go ahead.
The guest here is going to be huge. Sorry, Katerina, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're good. With any type of like creator stuff that ends up in like overflow, whether it's like Nordstrom Rack or TJ Maxx, a lot of times is there was a mistake that you don't really notice like close to the eye. So it's almost an effort to save it in like a recycling form of way. They're able to resell it at a fraction of the cost. People are still able to get the product. So it kind of bridges the accessibility portion to it. I feel like a lot of creators have started coming out with products that are just completely unattainable for the average person. But yeah, I think that a lot of creators, especially at the size of Jimmy, like are creating, so much stuff. I feel like I can't go anywhere without seeing him. He's on a billboard here in Atlanta. So wow. I see him all over the place. But I think like, as far as like us as adults, I would say like overhyped, but to kids who is his primary and target audience, like that is what matters. And kids, he still is like very much the coolest person on the planet. So it's not like I don't think there's like any shade to him or anything, or when it comes to creators and their products.
No, I mean, it's just a different strategy. And on the other side of the coin, which was another big announcement this week, is Netflix did a huge deal with Salish Matter. And in a lot of ways, I see Salish Matter as the exact antithesis to the way that she's building her brand and Mr. Beast building her brand. Like she's been number one on Famous Birthdays for like years. Like the kids love Salish Matter. Like she's in a lot of ways like what Mr. Beast is to young boys, Salish Matter is to young girls. And she launched her beauty line, and in the same mall that Mr. Beast launched Mr. Beast Burger, and got more people to show up. And now she did a Netflix deal, which in a way feels like the antithesis to Mr. Beast Games deal, and it's what Netflix is heralding as their biggest creator deal yet. But she's playing the scarcity thing. She's done one beauty brand, absolutely huge. Now one Netflix thing, absolutely huge. So it's still like a hugely exclusive to get a Salish Matter thing. So I'm interested, when you look at your clients, do you look at them like Mr. Beast? Do you look at them like Salish Matter, or does it have to be dependent on case by case?
I think it's like a case by case basis, because I have some clients who like they have no desire to sell products in store, which is totally fine. I've literally had clients be like, okay, this is my plan. I want to make $5 million in the next 5 years. And then afterwards, can you introduce me to a money manager that essentially can just like, you know, put that into the market and make sure that it comes back? And they've fully retired based on that. Or they've made great plays in the investment space and not had to do much afterwards. But I've also had creators who are like, no, I want to be in stores. I want to be here. I want to be there. And you have to make sure that obviously brandability is a thing. So like Salish Matter or obviously Jimmy as well, like their viewpoint and the amount of influence that they have clearly warrants a brand. And I think it's super important to pay attention to that as well.
Do you think that Beast Burger was kind of out of left field? I never really attributed burgers to the Beast, to Mr. Beast. Salish Matter, on the other hand, it sounds like she did exactly what was in line with what people would have expected, almost like bringing what her content is digitally to the real world. I don't think bringing burgers to the real world was that thing. I think it was just another thing. So maybe that explains somewhat, you know, the less sales or whatever on that aspect. But I think that at the same time, you need to find what is your thing that you're doing digitally, bring that to real life, and then kind of be a one-to-one so people can, it's tangible. You're creating like tangibility there. I don't know, I think that's the way to look at it. And it is case by case. One of my clients, I would love to have a capsule t-shirt once a quarter. He could sell it based on, you know, one of the lines from one of his videos of one of his React channels. And that's all you would need, just the one line with maybe his logo. And he could sell that at, you know, 1,000, whatever that is, 500, you know, one time a quarter. And I think he'd do great, but he's just not interested in doing that. You know, it's really based on your interest, and you really got to want to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, every time you launch a brand, there's a risk, right? I think that was Mr. Beast's really tough learning from Beast Burger was ghost kitchens were very hot during COVID, and it was one of those time and place things. And I think it was him testing the waters of, let's see if I can put my name on something and have it explode and be as big as my videos. And frankly, the answer was yes. Like, it launched so huge. The problem is with ghost kitchens is that you're using other people's kitchens and other people's employees, and quality control is an issue. And that proved to be true. And Mr. Beast couldn't have his brand associated with bad burgers, right? So, yeah, I think that it was a tough lesson for him to learn, but I think it's the lesson that every entrepreneur needs to learn, which is like, how can I start experimenting, fail, and then figure out why I failed, and then start moving in the right direction. So I don't fault him for Beast Burger. What I think is that it was an early stage entrepreneur issue that just happened on a larger stage because he's Mr. Beast, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think it's also really hard to launch food products nationally. So I think that was a huge learning lesson. I think it probably should have been tested in like one state or one specific city first before being taken across the country, but only reason I say that is because like obviously QAing food needs to be good in order to be a selling point. Unless it's like a Michelin star, and that's a whole different topic, and also a hot take. But when it comes to like food that you're ordering on Uber Eats, you're already expecting the quality to not be great because it's takeout. So, you know, couple that with food that's just overall not good, people aren't going to order it. But I don't think it was a flop. I think it pushed him even further into like selling snacks and other things.
Yeah, and like Dobrik's was the other thing, right? David Dobrik has a contained one flagship thing on Sunset in a cool area. And yes, there's like snacks that come out from that, but instead of going big, he kept it. I mean, I like you can go into Dobrik's and buy. There's not like a huge line or anything, but I think it's doing well. Like people know it, and I think that's just the other side of the coin of like he just has a really good product, and the snack food's really good. I like the pizza at Dobrik's; it's actual good pizza, and I'm like that's. I think he was able to achieve that by having it be a location that he's able to just really focus on. You know?
Right.
I mean, he is from Illinois, which has the best pizza in the States. So he's, of course, going to have good pizza. There's not a ton of good pizza in LA.
You know exactly how to rile up people on the internet by you're going to do the New York, Chicago wars here. But
I'll take that Pepsi challenge any day of the week. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian's as Chicago as it gets. So absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yet another one we haven't talked about in the past, but Brooke Monk launched Doting Beauty. She is possibly the largest female creator with an aspirational young female fan base that nobody talks about, right? Like, I feel like Charlie D'Amelio, everybody talks about. Brooke Monk is every bit as big, arguably even more influential in so many ways, but has always just kind of been like a worker, right? She just pulls out good content, goes viral all the time, has a diehard fan base, but probably does just less on the PR front and launches less companies. And so Charlie D'Amelio just feels like she's out there more. But Brooke Monk has been on the Forbes top 50 creator list for years now, and everybody in the industry knows the heck out of her. And she's got a really smart manager, Devane, and they just put all of their focus into launching this one really great thing that's focused on the eyelashes and the beauty, and kind of they sleepover themed shoot for it, and just like a really elegant, smart rollout. But I don't know if you saw any of the assets around Doting Beauty. I just thought it was masterfully executed.
Not me. This is definitely not my lane here. So I'll let Yeah,
I'm looking at her. I've never seen her before, and this isn't the first. Like honestly, most big creators, like Alex Earl, I didn't hear about until like 2 years in, which was crazy to me because I'm like, it's when they get problematic is when things usually come to the forefront of my mind.
So is this kind of the point you were making, Phil? This is a very well-known person that isn't very well-known, right? This kind of proves it here. I do know Brooke Monk now, but it hasn't been since I met with you. I've been in games and I've been in pop culture folks, so like that lane doesn't assign, but to hear these numbers or to see this kind of volume they're pushing is incredible.
What an awesome product too. It's only $11. Like I think a big miss, especially in the beauty space with content creators and launching their own brands, is they create products that are way too expensive, and then also just not quality. So this seems great, and I'm actually looking on TikTok. It looks like it's crushing it over there. So I mean that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, no shade to Pokimane Steam, but that was the backlash when she launched her healthy snacks, right? And that backlash was tough because it was just so expensive. But us on the representation side know why it's so expensive. It's because she wanted to have larger margins likely, or her representation was pushing for larger margins. And eventually you come up against the reality of manufacturing, and 3PL has to be this much, and then the stores need this much, and then the margin has to come from somewhere, so you got to raise the price. But I spend a lot of time thinking about celebrity versus fandom, right? Like, we'll take our clients, Collins and Devin Key, for example. Huge reach. People on the inside know them. Like, doing every bit as well as a lot of, I mean, arguably on short form, Mr. Beast or all the other people, but just don't have as many product launches, all of those kind of things. So, like, hugely influential, but and then Poppy Studios, other clients of ours, everybody knows those white psych dating videos. They probably run into their content a lot. Like a lot of people have probably seen Poppy Studios things. Do they see that and immediately think Poppy Studios? Maybe, maybe not, because like Zach Justice is doing similar stuff and yada, yada, yada. And then we also have those people who are just like contained, but really put themselves out there, really well known within the spaces they are. And even though it's smaller and tighter, they've just got that lean in and desire and all of that. So it's just an incredibly different strategy. I'd rather have that contained lean in fan base. I'd rather have a Salish matter right now than a Mr. Beast, just on how the ecosystem is developing. Because knowing you can sell out every time makes it so you can have contained, focused projects where you're constantly building the brand and, you're not getting that risk of overexposure.
Absolutely.
And it also looks like other creators are interested in it too, which is only going to help the exposure part of it here. I'm seeing, we were talking about Lana, the gamer that's been doing such great work. She's got a video right here that's reviewing Brooke Monk's Doting Beauty lashes and like other things. So you've got this like massive groundswell happening. It's great.
Mm-hmm. One more person who's making tons of announcements. I feel like everything in this conversation is about business building with creators, but I guess Stealth Talent, that's what we do. But Darman announced on top of his 40-picture deal with Fox in the vertical drama space and being the NFL's chief kindness officer. And now he also announced an Old Navy deal, which I haven't seen Darman do a lot of like, I mean, I know he does branded campaigns, but not a lot of kind of like these big overall deal announcements. But it seems like this Old Navy deal is an incredible amount of lean in. And it seems like it's going to be a bigger than SpawnCon. It's like a 4-part series. It's not just your SpawnCon shout out. It's like a real honest to God, like collaborative series. So it's interesting to see Darman's evolution from kind of this like moralistic tale, viral first like short film guy into Sean Atkins coming in, and then suddenly it turns this corner into becoming like this media brand, But yeah, I would love thoughts just in terms of like Darman as a face, right? Like I always thought of him as more of like a brand in terms of he didn't even need to be in the videos, but now he's putting himself out there as Darman the celebrity, which I think is interesting.
I always felt that was pretty premium all the time, and it seemed like it was almost out of place, but like in a great way. Like it was almost like kind of pushing the limits of what you can do with that content, like long form content. So it makes sense. But I didn't hear about the Old Navy deal until now, but it looks like I'm glad to hear that short form branded series are kind of like making a return. I feel like it's been one-offs for a long time, or at least like the last few years. And I kind of missed the series thing. I think that there was an Agentio report that came out like last week or last month, and it was saying that because people do repeat videos over time, the brand advertising or the brand awareness across that and engagement only increases, because there is like that bit of, okay, this is going to be regular content for a while. The audience is like, no, this is not just a cash grab. This now becomes kind of an integrated moment, as opposed to like just say, hey, go buy this. Now back to my video. Now it's actually like, how am I actually working with this? And, you become like an actual ambassador advocate. I hope that this becomes more of a thing, because I've always used to love pitching series of content. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I have multiple clients who have integrated brands throughout like years worth of content, where it started off as like a paid partnership for 1 year or whatever, but it's turned into something that's become like more episodic and like a series. One of my previous clients, he owns rotary engines, and that's very well known in the car space. They leak oil. So he partnered with Valvoline. He's been partnered with them now for I think like 8 years, and he creates like almost like cinematic videos based around his Valvoline content, as well as sells like merch in partnership with Valvoline, which is really cool. But I've seen like so many different types of content like that, where I think like it really just improves a brand's awareness, but also makes people interested in purchasing it after seeing someone the credibility.
I feel like that's the true influencer marketing there. You all of a sudden become the voice that's speaking through that brand, or that brand speaking through the voice of the influencer, but
absolutely,
legitimately,
Yeah.
I mean, so much about, I think that oftentimes we boil influencer marketing down to metrics, and that's a huge mistake because a view is a view, whether you're hate watching or love watching. I remember back in 2000, I believe 13 at Full Screen, Brian, when we were working there together, we launched Summer Break with AT&T, that summer series that went on. Hugely viral. It was just a reality show with content creators, but it was like kind of like sexy summer tales, and explosively popular. But I think that what I liked more about that than just the millions of views is it associated AT&T with summer love, with young connections, with premium, with really good looking video and well told tales. And it felt like it was meeting the market where it was. So yes, it was probably more expensive than if they were just buying shout outs, but the affiliation meant so much more than the numbers.
Absolutely.
So Darman's doing the same with Old Navy, hopefully, and like if these things succeed, we all succeed. So fingers crossed that all of these things, that the Mr. Beast $1 billion giveaway and everything else just becomes huge, because we need it to become huge for our sake.
John Atkins is doing some work over there. It's pretty cool to see how much activity has been popping since he took over there. It's really interesting.
He's so smart. I mean, he's one of those people that like everything he's ever touched, if you look back through his history, he's been able to up level. Even a Jelly Smack, even though the Jelly Smack story didn't end well, I feel like he was trying to take the right swings internally once he got in. And what he did during his MTV days was just masterful, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people say, well, shoot, we missed the music videos, but you can't deny the move to more reality and how valuable that was as brand building, Cool. Let's get selfish. Let's get into more stealth things. We launched with Collins Key. We launched a Fortnite video that I think I was really impressed by the quality they put out, but also it was our first ManyChat integration. And even though Fortnite's been out forever, the conversions on it were fantastic. So I'm excited to see influencer marketing and performance marketing come out. But if you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend going to Collins Key's Instagram and checking it out. He also did a lot of trials reels work with that, which led to millions of views on that side. So I'm really bullish on kind of using all of these new technologies the platform offers for influencer marketing. But I'd love to hear, when it comes to performance marketing, do you guys have a point of view on how creators should be managing that funnel? Because I feel like we're all still figuring it out in real time.
Definitely figuring it out in real time. But I came from the world of email and digital marketing without any humans associated. So it was all performance based.
Right.
Now I think that there's still, well, you talked about how influencer marketing gets confused with or data driven all the time. So I think that this is this mix that we need to find. I think that utilizing platforms that allow us to actually see some sort of data, because sales data is the biggest thing always. The thing we're always asked, what are they converting at? I really don't know. I don't know unless I can see bottom of the funnel or your sales data, and no one wants to share that stuff. ManyChats is something that you introduced me to within the since we started here. I had never even looked into it. Now I'm seeing like this should be integrated naturally, I feel, into the content somehow, or into each of the platforms, because this is an absolute marketing tool, and it's a driver that we don't have through social. A lot of social is like hoping to God that someone's going to link out and go check out whatever we're talking about, but getting that like actual engage thing. And what was the call to action? Just download Fortnite.
Yep. Comment Fortnite and we'll DM you a link,
Comment Fortnite. That's it. And I mean, and that's kind of going back to the Twitch style of marketing, which is really, comment here or, exclamation chat, etc., to get something driven into chat, like those sort of things. Like that needs to be integrated across. I think this is going to be huge. I think that this campaign you did for Collins and Devin has been like the one that we really need to show off as the converter. You know, the one that actually shows like the top to the funnel and conversion. It's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a, it was funny, last year, beginning of the year, I had a creator ask me if she could integrate ManyChat with a brand deal. And it was the first time I had ever heard of ManyChat. And I was like, okay, so what exactly does this do? But it boosts engagement significantly. And I feel like in this day, most brands, when they're wanting to integrate, they want to know what the metrics are going to be before they really sign into working on a deal with somebody. So I think honestly, just integrating with ManyChat for Fortnite was such a smart play and crushed it, like fully knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you had mentioned it was one of their lower performing videos from a viewership standpoint. But when it comes down to it, it is Fortnite. It's not like the most searched thing right now. It's been around for 15 years now. I don't really know how long it's been around. But to still get that kind of viewership, and then the percentage of how many people are actually clicking into this for that viewership, that's what's astronomical. You know, like those are the kinds of things we need to kind of focus on. I think people get a little caught up in vanity, subscribers still, viewership, without really taking into consideration the actions and the actual purchase.
Yeah, well, I mean, when ManyChat first hit the scene, I was like, this has to be illegal. There's no way Meta will allow this because it feels like a technology that's like gaming the system. But it seems Meta has really embraced it, and like they've done conventions and talks together. So I think that Meta really loves ManyChat and doesn't view it as something that is not using the platform as intended, right? One thing that I thought was really interesting about this Fortnite thing is it was truly full funnel marketing. Like in the way that everybody says things are full funnel marketing, but then they're yada yada yadaing a lot of it. It was really high quality content that builds positive awareness, real consideration by showing features of the game, real engagement by commenting, real downloads. But I have a feeling a lot more people saw that and went, oh, that's right, Fortnite. I've got that on my phone. And like some people probably already had it downloaded. So I feel like part of the story is that they drove an incredible amount of downloads, which they absolutely did drive an incredible amount of downloads through the ManyChat, but also re-engaged people, but also probably got people to go to the App Store and search it. So, and the affiliation was super positive. Everybody in the comments was like, I know this is SpawnCon, but this is so awesome. And like they made it special effects heavy and goofy and fun, and which is really their brand, right? Is they're just good at making things like unhinged chaos virality. Like I don't know, it's hard to define the brand though.
But it's polished. But it's purely polished chaos. Yeah, like it does feel a little chaotic, but there is a definite craft that's happening. And I mean, we see it. They're perfectionists too when they try to hand stuff in. I really appreciate what they do. It's fun to see them and to kind of go along the ride with them, seeing all these things in process. You know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Also on the helping to structure cap table side, we've got a couple of really exciting companies we're working with. We've hosted Buy.video here recently, which is doing scarce video drops, so scarce and limited. So it's so funny to me because like the Patreon model was around for so long, and the memberships, and then there was kind of like the OnlyFans passes fanfics model that's more like paid unlocks and paid DMs, and it was like a little bit more lean in, and Patreon has caught up on a lot of those features too, but it kind of introduced a new way of doing things. And this is like a model that's more like the candy bar in the checkout lane. Like you don't have to subscribe to anything. You just kind of like, oh, by the way, if you enjoyed that, here's a little extra and here's a link to it. Like it's just fun to me how all of these different models are, and I think all of them are useful at different levels, but how they're kind of approaching the market of super fandom in a different way, and how to make it frictionless and fun to buy additional pieces of content. And so far, we've done a couple pitches, especially with brand groups or management groups or production studios. It's actually landed very well, even though it's a different model. But I don't know. I'm very bullish on this idea.
So as a creator, if I was using Patreon or had like some unlocks for my community, behind paywalls or whatever that might be, I mean, how would I utilize buy.video with that, with that kind of model with my audience?
This is the way that I'm viewing it. So I think somebody with a Patreon or fanfics or anything like that could also utilize this as an interesting part of the funnel.
Yeah.
I look at this like Costco samples, right? Like, yes, you don't have to pay for the Costco samples. You would have to pay for video on buy.video, but it's such a lighter lift way for people to be able to sample it. And then you can have a link at the end of that viewership experience, and then you can link that over to Patreon. So if it's one of those things where you say like, hey, I just did a podcast, like here's my too hot for Apple like thing, where it's like, here's some of the edgier stuff we talked about that we didn't want to put on the podcast, but for $5 you can unlock that and watch this experience. Then at the end of that goes, if you enjoyed this, here's Patreon, right? And then you can get people into the subscription funnel, which has more friction than just a quick purchase. I think that's interesting, but also just a model unto itself, where it's like, maybe I'm somebody who just has really cool stuff on the cutting room floor. I'm like a magician and I've got a blooper reel or whatever, like, and just start to have the habit of a blooper reel that I sell for $3 every time, Like, I think it's just a different way of approaching fandom.
Interesting.
So yeah, super excited about that one. Yeah.
Should we talk about the world of our community space? I feel like that kind of opened a great segue into that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're also working to help operationalize on community platforms. Some of the aforementioned platforms, right? Where, like, for example, fanfics, we did a launch this week with one of our creators. I want to make sure that I'm protecting the creator in terms of what operations we're doing for it, naturally, because a lot of this is like lean in. But it was a really strong launch, and helping them be able to figure out what their messaging looks like and what their content mix and their pricing for all the paid unlocks and all of that, and how they operationalize it, right? Because these are kind of like chat heavy platforms. So being able to like say, how do you make sure that that's an authentic voice coming across and that we're playing within the guardrails? And frankly, it destroyed all revenue projections that we ever could have imagined for this creator, is valuable. But I think it does take the heft of an operations team that has done this a lot of times to not drop the ball on these launches. And we're just really happy with the impact that it drove. Was that me being vague enough? Hopefully I was.
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think a huge thing when it comes to community, it's like I feel like it's such a low lift in a lot of ways if you have a creator who has like a specialty. So Paper Eats, for instance, since she's not on community right now, we can talk about her potentially being on it. I feel like anyone who has some form of like art that they're able to, they don't showcase how exactly they make it on screen on their regular platforms, but it's something that could be behind a paywall. I feel like it's always good for that. Something my mom does, which is very random, but she's like a creator in her own like 67-year-old way. She holds art classes and she live streams them on Facebook, but you have to pay to get access to the live stream. And it's actually very creative. So she also sells her products, and I was like, well, why don't you just do that on like a fanfics or a passes? But to her, that's too complicated because she knows how to handle Facebook. She knows how to she understands those platforms. And then she also gets the money for the people that are coming like in and actually doing her art classes. So I think there's so many different ways when we talk about community. It doesn't just have to be within the platforms that we talk about. It can be other ways as well. I mean, there's private Discord communities as well, which is something that was super, super popular, especially when GTA was starting to have its resurgence after 2020. And I find community to be such a fun thing to talk about because I think a lot of creators are missing out on massive margins that way without the
Uscreen's a good example of that.
Right. Yeah, they have great paid community platforms that actually take lower margins because it's based on a subscription fee, and I think that's for larger creators super super smart. We're also working with a group for their go-to-market called Koi Creators, which is a community platform that's more focused on data ownership and having it on O&O website. So if you're like building out a community that you also plan on someday having newsletters against or being able to sell product to in the future and retarget, it takes away the opacity of those platforms. So I think that depending on goals, there's so many different solutions out. And Katerina, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about Kizwi, which is that paid ticketing for live stream thing that I know Smosh has done a lot of work with them, and Mythical, I believe, has done a lot of work with them for kind of like these eventized live stream ticketing things. So, I mean, there's a million ways to slice it based on what content you create, what community you built. But I'm always really excited to help creators crack those codes. It's a fun puzzle to solve.
Agreed.
Totally.
Same. My favorite thing is helping them build anything that has nothing to do with socials. I feel like that's always the fun thing.
Yep. Well, I think that's also worth talking about the TikTok migration to the US servers. And I can only define as disastrous, right? Like analytics went down, uploads went down. Some of our people that were regularly doing 100,000 views a video just had total tanks, and they released it. I mean, it's natural with any kind of server or code migration that it's not the exact same code, and therefore things probably will break, but everything seemed to break. It just seemed like a break across the board. You know?
My TikTok shop creators were calling me like in tears because they had $0 in sales, which is, I mean, some of my creators are making around $1,000 a day minimum without giving away what their GMV is. So that's a significant drop when you're making $1,000 a day going down to zero. So it's been honestly very rough. I feel like even like our For You pages have completely changed overnight. Yeah. And they've chopped it up to restructuring or something. They were like, oh, we're recalibrating the algorithm, which makes no sense to me. So
yeah, agreed. Well, during the same time, I feel like Instagram Reels has gotten really good. Like, I feel like the FYP has gotten, I'm actually pretty impressed. I've always thought of like TikTok as being the best FYP. And so I'll check out Reels just to see how it's going. But like TikTok really knows me. And this comes at a time where I'm starting to go on Instagram and going, wow, Instagram really knows me. And likewise going on TikTok now and going, does it really know me anymore? Like, it feels like it's been kind of a hard reset. So I don't know. I think that it's fun to see these platforms challenge each other. I mean, it reminds me of the AI race. Like, one day OpenAI is the best, and then suddenly I start using Copilot or Gemini and go, ooh, this is pretty good now too. And then it challenges everything to be better, you know?
I mean, one of my creators was heavy TikTok. That's how he got started. All this stuff kind of went down. He has since focused on YouTube and Instagram, but he is completely done with TikTok. I'm sure he'll be back, but the initial response has not been strong and not been positive. So I feel bad for him because it cut down, like you were saying, $1,000 a day. I mean, that's he might have been doing $2,000 to $5,000, in AdSense or in revenue a month, but that's gone. That's his rent.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Certainly not too big to fail. I mean, what we saw with the Twitter takeover, and like now Threads daily active users are reported to be higher than TikTok or than Twitter daily active users, and launched even after the Elon Musk takeover. So nothing is too big to, I mean, for those of us who are getting gray hairs, remember the MySpace collapse where everyone thought MySpace was going to own social media forever. And then they got bought by News Corp, and the quality dropped, and it got too complicated. Load times were bad, and Facebook was coming up, and Friendster was coming up, and it just couldn't. Yeah. It couldn't survive. It was too challenged. So I hope that TikTok rights the ship. We have hundreds of millions of followers amongst our roster on TikTok, so it would be really great for TikTok to figure it out. But I do worry that I want the US org to succeed. And right now that was not a great coming out party.
No, it's healthy to have all the good competition, like you were saying, all the platforms to challenge each other, create new tech that they can borrow or steal from each other and build.
Right.
But it only helps to improve that market and that field. So this is not going to help right now. It's definitely kind of taking a step back. But you're right. Instagram's kind of my go-to now, and Threads for social and updates.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I would say the last 90 days, I've been more Instagram heavy, which I've always, for the last, anything Meta, I do not touch normally. I kind of just really dislike the platforms. I want everything to be back in chronological order. That doesn't exist anymore. As soon as TikTok took that away, I was like, oh, what are we doing here? So the only reason I went to TikTok is because everything was at least chronological. Now it's recommending things from 6 months ago that I just didn't see. So it's been very interesting. But yeah, a lot of my clients are really enjoying Instagram versus TikTok, especially the lifestyle girls. TikTok isn't even recommending their views at all or recommending their videos at all. They're getting 4-figure views when they were getting 6-figure views.
Yeah. Stories are probably the best way to promote if you want to kind of bolster your content and get a link out and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of any chat integration here that we're doing, but that's the one way, and that's the only one that can do that right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I still feel like when people say what's the most valuable audience you can build, a lot of people default to YouTube, and I struggle because sometimes I think, well, Instagram stories, habituated Instagram story views, almost feel even more valuable in so many ways, because if you get to a point where you're going to get 1 million opens, you're going to get a 20% tap through rate on links, and you can direct them in a place that's even more valuable than the high CPMs of YouTube. You control your own destiny a lot of ways. More brands will take notice because more brands like that performant layer. So I don't know. I still say YouTube's a very valuable audience. In most cases, if you're building an entertainment career, I think that in terms of talent, absolutely. In terms of conversion and ownership, I lean on Instagram stories or even Snapchat stories to also have strong link outs and really good monetization. And then my next one is always, but podcasts as a fandom, as a depth of fandom story, good sized podcasts can sell out to Dolby at $100 tickets. Really hard to do that on YouTube, even if you're tippy top big. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Hulu's jumping into that world now, video, and now, talk about competition now. All the big companies now streamers are starting to turn into their video podcasts. So that's the thing now again. I feel like we're going back to 2012, long form being that kind of big hero moment, and then using your stories to kind of drive your audience to where you need to go. It's you need to really strategize now, but I think these are really two great things. It's interesting.
Yep, everything old is new again.
Stay the same.
Yes.
I think another thing that's interesting, YouTube has been working diligently to try and get short form to 60 minutes. So instead of TikTok being where you upload your vertical 60-minute episodics, you can now upload them onto YouTube. Not just yet, but they haven't beta testing it. So it'll be interesting once that rolls out to see if TikTok even is relevant at that point anymore, because I feel like YouTube will be back on top.
Boomer opinion, but I just can't get into vertical long form. I don't know. For me, vertical is about this. It's about the swipe. I don't know. I am wrong all the time, and I know that there's generational shifts, but I like my long form to be on as big a screen as possible and horizontal. I like my short form to be vertical and on the small of devices possible, and never the twain shall meet. I don't want those two to mix,
So I would tend to agree with you, but they have had these like vertical dramas that have been coming out, and they're so bad that I like can't stop watching. So I won't purchase them, but I will sit on the ad for the entirety of the show and just be like, "There's no way these actors are enjoying watching this."
Is there a world where we get a vertical screen when we go to the theater now, and all of a sudden is IMAX like this as opposed to like this? You know, like. What is that going to be?
CES seemed to think so this year. There was a lot of kind of like vertical screen technology, which is, I don't know. I'm not sold.
I'm not either. I'm even seeing that at Best Buy. They've got now when they've got the store models, now they're set up vertically with like the scroll down. I'm like, maybe for a gamer, I think that makes sense to have something in the back, maybe a chat or something running, but that's a very specific use case. I would not watch TV in a vertical, but again, gray.
Right.
You know,
this feels like a Verizon Go 90 moment where they're like, aren't you annoyed by having to watch video in vertical? Well, we want you to turn your phone to the side, watch it horizontal. And every Gen Z person in the world went, no, I'm not annoyed watching my vertical content. I actually like my vertical content. So no, I don't want to turn my screen to the side.
That was a fun time pitching in shows, though. We pitched in a lot of shows. That was fun.
Oh yeah, at Studio 71, we were doing quite well with Go 90. They had very big budgets. I remember when they did like the New York City subway takeover. They like owned New York City subways for like months, and it just didn't catch.
No, big party.
People didn't want to go 90.
The release, yeah.
So it goes. All right, I've taken up enough of your valuable time, but thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. And if you want to learn more about Stealth Talent, it is stealthtlnt.com. Forgive the website. It is a Wix website we set up quickly. We've been building while doing business at the same time, so we're going to double back on a lot of that branding stuff. Or also you can hit any of us up on LinkedIn, and we'd love to chat more about the future of social media.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.